I'm telling you guys, the Marjorie Taylor Greene situation, for one, comma, is crazy. For two, the direction she goes, I think, will steer the future of the Republican Party. Okay? Most Republican politicians and pundits are completely spineless kites that just fly with the wind. You know what I mean? It blows one way, whoosh, it blows the other, whoosh. And they're waiting to see what comes after Trump. What comes after Trump, you know? If Marjorie Taylor Greene is able to do well in the upcoming election, she will be the first woman president. Don't do that.
It's the political breakup heard round the world. President Trump severing ties with at least one of his closest allies, declaring, "I am withdrawing my support and endorsement of Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene," even calling for primary challenges against his one-time loyalists and attacking her as, quote, wacky, a ranting lunatic, a rhino, and a traitor.
Called her Marjorie Taylor Brown, parentheses, because green grass turns brown when it dies. Got her.
This is days before the House of Representatives is set to vote on releasing the Epstein files. It's a stunning breach between two MAGA leaders, one of whom is here with me now exclusively for her first interview since the president cut ties. Republican Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene of Georgia, thank you so much for being here. As you just heard, and I know you saw, the president says he's withdrawing support for you, encouraging primary challengers. You were one of his biggest supporters. What do you think happened here?
Well, Dana, thank you for having me on, and that is true. I stood with President Trump when virtually no one else did. Campaigned all over the country, spent millions of my own dollars helping him get elected. And I think that's incredibly important. And I do support him and his administration. And I support them in delivering the campaign promises we made to the American people. His remarks, of course, have been hurtful. However, I have something in my heart that I think is incredibly important for our country, and that is to end the toxic fighting in politics. And this has been going on for years, and it has divided our country, split up friends and families, neighbors, and it's not solving our problems. The most hurtful thing he said, which is absolutely untrue, is he called me a traitor, and that is so extremely wrong. And those are the types of words used that can radicalize people against me and put my life in danger.
What do you think happened? What do you think is the reason for this?
Unfortunately, it has all come down to the Epstein files, and that is shocking. And, you know, I stand with these women. I stand with rape victims. I stand with children who are in terrible sex abuse situations. And I stand with survivors of trafficking and those that are trapped in sex trafficking. And I will not apologize for that. I believe the country deserves transparency in these files. And I don't believe that rich, powerful people should be protected if they have done anything wrong.
Not trans women raped in prison, though. You don't need to buy this. She stood with a rapist for years. Trump has always been, from grab him by the pussy to all the court cases against him to, like, there's a million reasons if a person was particularly concerned by the abuse of women to not stand with Trump. It's obviously like a cynical... It's difficult to know because I do think that Marjorie Taylor Greene is genuinely a very stupid and easily swayed person. Like, she does seem to be very easily moved by shit she sees on social media. So to what extent she's being deliberately insincere, you don't really know. But yeah, no, are not and never will be pro Marjorie Taylor Greene here, and we do not, in fact, have to give it to her. But I am interested in seeing how this turns out. And I think it might be, from the Democrats' perspective, I'm seeing kind of an echo of what happened in 2015, 2016, where Trump was given a lot of free airtime because nobody took him seriously. Now, you know, CNN, The View, they're giving a lot of attention to Marjorie Taylor Greene because, oh, she's speaking out against Trump. You know, let's highlight some of this MAGA infighting. But you have no idea what kind of enemy you're creating.
And so I'm standing with the women, and I will continue to do my small part to get the files released.
You said on X yesterday, quote, "It's astonishing really how hard he's fighting to stop the Epstein files from coming out, and that it really makes you wonder what is in those files." Are you suggesting there's something in the Epstein files that President Trump does not want Americans to see?
Well, I think that's the part that has so many people confused, is that the women themselves that I have talked to have over and over again said that Donald Trump did nothing wrong. Quite a few of them even told me they voted for him. And those are the women I would like to see in the Oval Office with support. I would like to see all of the women there with support. I have no idea what's in the files. I can't even guess, but that is the questions everyone is asking, is why fight this so hard?
Well, before this blow-up, you sort of alluded to this just now. You said you were confident the president wouldn't be implicated. Are you still confident of that?
I'm listening to the women. Those are the ones that are saying that he did nothing wrong. Virginia Giuffre even said under oath that Donald Trump did nothing wrong, and she wrote it in her book. So I'm continuing to listen to the women, and I think their voices should be the loudest.
The president said the reason that you have been critical of him is not necessarily Epstein, but because he pushed you not to run for the Senate or for governor in Georgia. How and when did he do that?
Well, that is absolutely not true. Actually, I never had a conversation at all with the president about running for Senate or running for Georgia. And those were decisions I came to on my own, that I don't want to have anything to do with the Senate. I think the past 2 months of the government shutdown should have shown America exactly why I would never want to be there. I think it's a very broken institution that serves the uniparty and doesn't serve the American people and how they vote. And I decided that I didn't want to run for governor this cycle either. I very much want to do the job that I'm in. Everyone else says I'm running for something, but all I want to do is serve Georgia's 14th district, and I'm very grateful for that opportunity.
So he said it pretty explicitly. Are you saying he's lying, or did he at least get that message to somebody on your political team instead?
I'm not sure. But I don't. That is untrue what he said. I don't know if he's being fed.
See, this is the kind of response that makes me think that Marjorie Taylor Greene is being coached by somebody else. She personally is not smart, and she's a messy bitch. But her refusing to call him a liar and instead saying, well, maybe he's working off bad info, it seems like it's designed. The message is designed to give her enough plausible deniability to not completely, like, she could still woo over people who wouldn't be happy with her saying that Trump outright lied, you know? Yeah, she's choosing her words more carefully than she's known to do, which makes me wonder, you know.
Wrong information. I honestly have no idea in that area, but it is absolutely factually not true, nor have I called him, and White House logs would prove that. His own cell phone records would prove it. I have not been calling the president, but I did post messages that I had sent to him, and that was to, like, protect, you know, get involved. This is important. The American people want the Epstein files released. And, you know, I've stood with the president. I have disagreed with him at times, Dana, and I'm allowed to do that. I think that's the most important thing we can do as a...
How whitewashed do you think the files will be on release? I don't know if anyone really knows what's in the files. I don't think they've really been edited, though. It's not so easy to delete files, especially because there are usually copies of them, or there are like systems to ensure and verify and back up. Like I'll put it this way: everything has to be logged because everything has systems around it. Everything has there are safeguards and checks. If you want to be the guy who goes in and deletes the Epstein files, sure, maybe you can do that. Congratulations. But now that's on the record. What are you going to do? Kill every guy whose job it was to make sure that that goes on the record? It's just too difficult to manage. And then, you know, every other country, or sorry, not every other country, every other like investigation of the Epstein files. Now we have to contend with the fact that they were deleted. That doesn't make you look very fucking good. I just don't think it's difficult. Or sorry, I'm tripping up over my words. I don't think it's easy. I think it's too difficult for them to tamper with. I think it would take a level of political subterfuge and communication that this administration is not capable of.
Americans, and I'm urging my party. I've been putting massive pressure on my party and our speaker to pass the agenda that the American people vote for. That's the agenda that I fought for. Those are the campaign promises I made. And I can disagree with the president at times, particularly this past Monday on the Marines' 250th anniversary, when he honored the new Syrian president, who is an Al-Qaeda terrorist and was wanted by our government for years with a $10 million bounty up until March of this year.
This is an extremely funny thing to get polarized over, by the way.
Much am against that. I think that was very hurtful to the great men and women who served over in the Middle East and were sent there, and many of them that were killed and injured and live with PTSD to this day from fighting Al-Qaeda. So there's things I disagree with, and I'm allowed to do so.
Well, you mentioned the Syrian leader at the White House. You've also been critical of President Trump over foreign entanglements, H-1B.
What is she talking about? The president of Syria, al-Shara, is a former Al-Qaeda fighter. But he's fine now. It's chill. He was with the president in the White House just the other day.
Visas. Now he's moving military assets towards Venezuela. I do want to play something that he said this week.
Don't forget, MAGA was my idea. MAGA was nobody else's idea. I know what MAGA wants better than anybody else, and MAGA wants to see our country thrive.
Do you agree? Do you think he represents the MAGA movement as he wants?
Death spiral shit, by the way. When you frame a movement like a resurgent political, you know, what was an epigenetic or not? No, epigenesis, as being like yours and yours alone, and that it doesn't belong to other people and other people can't define it. Palingenetic, thank you. My brain is soup today. I don't know what's going on. The palingenetic, thank you, movement as something that only you have ownership of. Really, really bad.
Did?
Well, what the American people voted for with MAGA was to put the American people first and stop sending foreign aid and stop being involved in foreign wars. They very much deserve to be put first. Cost of living is far too high. Health insurance is completely out of control. And those are two issues I've been very vocal on for months and months now, long before Republicans were shocked when those big losses came on this past Tuesday's election. So I think that the American people deserve to be put first. That's what Make America Great Again meant to me. And I think that President Trump can do that if he refocuses his effort. And I think that's what I want to see. I think that's what the country wants to see. Even if he's attacking me, I do want him to be successful for the American people.
So sounds like you're saying that he is not representing the MAGA movement that he started right now.
I can say that promoting H-1B visas to...
Again, she's being so measured with her words, you know? I remember how she used to talk. I remember how she was when she was openly beefing with AOC, you know? Man, I wonder if she's getting coached. I wonder who... People are looking for a wedge against Trump. They've been looking for a long time. It would be so fucking ironic. It would be so Caesar if it was her, wouldn't it? You know, et tu? Fucking Marjorie Taylor Greene, Trump's #1 dick writer, even has the same like face basically, the like weird plasticky greasy orange face and the bleached yellow hair. Like it's perfect. It's perfect. It's cinema. It's Kino.
To replace American jobs, bringing in 600,000 Chinese students to replace American students' opportunities in American colleges and universities. Those are not America First positions. And continuing to really travel all over the world doesn't help Americans back at home. I really, and I said this to him, and I will say it out loud, I would love to see Air Force One be parked and stay home, and there be nothing but a constant focus in the White House on a domestic agenda that helps the American people once and for all.
Congresswoman, you posted on X that President...
Profoundly retarded America First pseudo-populism. Yeah, the American head of state shouldn't go and travel abroad to make deals with other countries. What the fuck are you talking about? That's literally his like main job. The president is the head of state. That's the main thing that he's supposed to do, be a representative for the United States. A lot of his procedural functions with regard to like signing bills into law and stuff, that doesn't have to be done day to day. That's the job.
Trump is, with his comments, fueling a, quote, hotbed of threats against you. Obviously, any threats to your safety are completely unacceptable. But we have seen these kinds of attacks or criticism from the president at other people. It's not new. And with respect, I haven't heard you speak out about it until it was directed at you.
Dana, I think that's fair criticism. And I would like to say humbly, I'm sorry for taking part in the toxic politics. It's very bad for our country. And it's been something I've thought about a lot, especially since Charlie Kirk was assassinated, is that I'm only responsible for myself and my own words and actions. And I am committed, and I've been working on this a lot lately, to put down the knives in politics. I really just want to see people be kind to one another, and we need to figure out a new path forward that is focused on the American people, because as Americans, no matter what side of the aisle we're on,
if she's being coached, it's not by one of the people in the Fuentes sphere because they're not capable of it. No. It would be like some other wing of the Heritage Foundation people, or possibly the neocons. Maybe they think that her brand of like even more fake America first could be weaponized. There's someone out there.
We have far more in common than we have differences.
Yeah.
And we need to be able to respect each other with our disagreements.
So just to put a button on this, you regret the things that you have said and posted in the past, the Facebook post that was taken down of you in 2020 holding a gun alongside the squad, encouraging people to go on the offense against the socialists, liking a tweet of somebody calling for the execution of Nancy Pelosi and former President Obama. Just examples.
Well, Dana, as you know, and many people know, I addressed that back in 2021. And of course, I never want to cause any harm or anything bad for anyone. So that was addressed back then, and I very much stand by my words I said then, and I stand by my words today. I think America needs to come together and end all the toxic, dangerous rhetoric and divide. And I'm leading the way with my own example, and I hope that President Trump can do the same.
Okay, so on that, I do want to ask you about something you posted just yesterday on X. You questioned who and what country is putting so much pressure on Trump to keep the Epstein files hidden. And you included a picture about donations from pro-Israel lobbying group AIPAC. What are you trying to say there?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it's the question that many Americans are asking, especially when we saw information recently come out in these emails that the Oversight Committee that I serve on has released. And we saw Jeffrey Epstein with ties to Ehud Barak. We saw him making business deals with them, also business deals that involved the Israeli government, and seems to have led into their intel agencies. And I think the right question is to ask is, was Jeffrey Epstein working for Israel? And I'm
Oh, man. I don't know if I've heard this talking point brought up by a high-profile political figure that wasn't like a Tucker Carlson type or something. Oh, God, it's so over for the Democrats if they don't have some way of addressing this.
proud to say I don't take money from AIPAC. I don't take money from any special group of people. I'm just representing my district and the American people, and so that's what I was referring to.
I just want to be clear. Are you saying Israel is pushing the President of the United States to cover up the Epstein files? And what evidence do you have that that is the case?
I simply just asked out loud, is there a foreign government? And it could be any foreign government, but is a foreign...
She's just noticing. Yeah, I mean, honestly, this dynamic is exemplified really, really well here, because it seems like the host isn't so interested in engaging with what Marjorie Taylor Greene is saying as she is in getting gotchas. And the thing she seems most offended by conceptually is the idea that Israel might be implicated in this. I know she's just here to press Marjorie Taylor Greene because nobody likes Marjorie Taylor Greene, including the host. But like it's not Marjorie Taylor Greene is only going to appear more legitimate if people act that indignant and outraged at the idea that Epstein, who was obviously associated with Israel, is associated with Israel. Dana Strauss chilling for Israel? No way. Yeah, no, I know. But like, that's kind of the thing, right? Like, that only makes Marjorie Taylor Greene look better, right? It's a fact that Epstein had connections to Israel. To suggest that Israel might have connections to Epstein's files is not remotely surprising, you know. If anything, it just legitimizes her in the eyes of the GOP. Oh, look, her truth tell. No, she's not gone left. If anything, she's making CNN madder than ever. Ugh.
Government pushing to keep this covered up because people just don't understand the big fight against...
Well, you had AIPAC up there. It was pretty clear which government you were talking about.
That I'm questioning that government in particular and questioning any other foreign government.
Okay, when you're talking about lowering the rhetoric, which is important for everybody to hear from you and all of our elected officials. But there is some concern, a lot of concern among Republicans about the rise of anti-Semitic hard-right figures in your movement, especially after Tucker Carlson hosted white nationalist Nick Fuentes on his podcast, didn't question Fuentes about his vile language or views. You did speak...
Did you guys hear that Red Scare bitch got fired by her agency, her talent agency, for having Nick Fuentes on her podcast? I don't remember which one it was. The one with the cocaine and eating disorder. Dasha? Yeah.
A conference hosted by Fuentes back in 2022. You were criticized and you said then that you didn't know about his views. Well, Fuentes talked to Carlson about that in the interview. Listen to what he said.
Well, again, with Marjorie, I was a friend of hers, and she spoke at my conference, and then the day after, she pretended like she didn't know me. She pretended like she didn't know me and lied and said I had no idea the conference I was speaking at. She knew exactly what it was.
What do you say to that?
Well, first of all, I defend every single person's free speech rights. I think that's incredibly important. So I don't apologize for that, and I don't believe in canceling people. And I think it's important for people like Tucker Carlson and yourself to interview everyone. I don't believe in trying to cancel someone by refusing to interview them and question them. And I did speak at his conference back in 2022. However, I don't know Nick Fuentes. He's someone I've never exchanged text messages with or phone calls. But I did speak at his conference. That was the first time I had met him that day, and that was it. But I did watch the interview. I watched the full interview with Tucker, and I admire him for interviewing many people as well as exposing a lot of powerful information.
I hear what you're saying.
He does on his show.
I hear what you're saying about free speech. I mean, count me as guilty as a proponent of free speech. There's free speech, and then there is hate speech. And this is a man invited on a really prominent conservative show who said, even during that interview, he had a problem with, quote, organized Jewry, and he wasn't challenged on it. In the past, he has denied the Holocaust, called Adolf Hitler effing cool, talked about the fact that he thought Jim Crow was just fine, and on and on. So again, there's free speech, and then there's just hateful language and sentiments.
Well, Dana, again, I told you on this interview that I'm committed to ending the toxic politics, and I think I don't want to have anything to do with it. You should have Nick Fuentes on your show, and you could ask him questions about that. I myself am not anti-Semitic. I have never criticized the Jewish people or said anything about them in particular. I am critical of the government of Israel, and I can criticize any government I want to in the entire world, as well as our own. And a lot of the times I am criticizing our own government for failing the American people. And I think that needs to be the focus, and that's the most important thing people care about, is being able to afford groceries, housing, health insurance, and having a good quality of life.
Yeah, and I hear you saying you're not anti-Semitic, and you've said it before, and you know, some of the posts that you have put up, which you have apologized for, certainly have tropes in them that have been used historically against Jews. But I do want to end this.
For one, she's 100% being coached, right? Her response to the Nick Fuentes Tucker Carlson thing was as legitimizing an answer as you could possibly give without directly implicating yourself for being associated with them. For two, it is insane that Strauss is basically only concerned about the anti-Semitism. All the shit going on with Marjorie Taylor Greene and Trump right now, and all she wants to do, this is exactly why they're going to be such a fucking threat in the future, man. Because to the American political and media class, Israel first. So if you criticize Israel, that's all the shit. Don't get me wrong, Marjorie Taylor Greene is an anti-Semite, but that's not what we're talking about here, okay? We're talking about Epstein and Trump. This whole segue was because Marjorie Taylor Greene suggested a relationship between the Epstein files and Israel, which, again, we know how Epstein was, and we know who he associated with, okay? It's not a fucking secret, okay? This is well known. It's been well known for years. So the fact that the conversation then turned into, I mean, essentially half of this interview has been about Strauss being like indignant and outraged at the implication that one might be critical of Israel. It's going to empower people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, like Fuentes, like Tucker Carlson. And the Democrats are going to have no answer. Oh, I can see the future, man. I can see the future. I can see the campaign ads in 2028, Democratic candidates hinging their progressivism on the idea that Israel is the only country in the Middle East that's a democracy. And maybe soon, someday, they'll legalize gay marriage.
Conversation with a question to you, and that is, do you see a situation where you and President Trump can make up? And if not, do you think you have a future in the GOP?
Well, I certainly hope that we can make up. And there's, you know, again, I can only speak for myself. I'm a Christian, and one of the most important parts of our faith is forgiveness, and that's something I'm committed to. That's why I can easily come on your show that is watched all over the world, and I can say things I'm sorry for, and I can try to set an example of how I think we should move forward as Americans. And so, of course, on my end, I believe in that, and I certainly hope to see that happen.
Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, I appreciate you coming on this morning. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dana.
Incredibly creepy, unnerving, and a foul portent for the future. A foul portent.